Good morning, students. Hope all of you are doing well. Today I am going to revise chapter 4 light. So that chapter question answer and uh, and already I made a separate video for each of the part of this chapter. So today I will only discuss the important points on that chapter. Okay. So see here, student. So as I told you as before, you already would know what is the light. So light is a form of energy that make a sensation in our eyes, and light itself is not visible, but in the presence of the light the other object becomes visible. And the light always travels in a straight path. That is the property of a light. This property is called the rectilinear propagation of light. Okay, so in this chapter actually the most important part, because what is light, what is the rectilinear propagation of light, what is the property of light, so those things already you have learned from your previous class. But in this chapter the most important part is the reflection of light. So the reflection of light, whenever you write, so that things you always check when you write down the definition. So that time you please check the what is the keywords, those keywords is present in your definition is not. So the keyword is that there should be a light, so means the bouncing back of light, so into the same medium, so that the medium, the same medium, so that things you have to write in your definition. And which is, it was incident after striking a surface, is called the reflection of light. So this, whenever you write the definition, so you check the keywords is present in your definition or not. So in short, if I tell you in one sentence what is that definition of reflection of light, so it is the bouncing of light after striking a surface is called reflection of light. So you see here that there are two types of reflection of light. So one is the regular reflection and another one the diffuse reflection or irregular reflection. So regular reflection, why it is called regular reflection? Because when a parallel beam of light, so if I draw here, so that is actually happen on a smooth or polished surface. So regular reflection occur on a smooth or polished surface, and that is a regular reflection result in the formation of a clear image. So whenever you stand in front of a mirror, so mirror here the plane mirror, so that is actually is acts as a smooth or polished surface, and on that actually the regular reflection will occur, and regular reflection result the formation of clear images. So that's why you see your face clearly. So first of all, one thing, the what is the regular reflection. So if you this is for this actually the reflection of light, we need a one reflecting surface. So reflecting surface is a one of the things that is have you need. Without reflecting surface it's not possible to do reflection. So and also the incident ray. So in regular reflection, that is not only the one single ray of light, that is a parallel ray of light. When it is falls on a reflecting surface, so after reflection it will move, it will go back to the same medium and as a parallel beam of light in a definite direction. So it has a definite direction. So after reflection you see it also go back like a parallel. So whenever you draw this diagram of a regular reflection, must you have to draw the arrow sign, because if you in this light chapter, that is very important to see the arrow sign, because if you do not draw, so we cannot understand what is this. It's only you draw the straight line, what is the meaning of this. So in this chapter, the whenever draw you any picture of the light, so you must you check that arrow sign you have drawn or not. And whenever you draw this diagram, so must you see that one thing is that you have to level. So what is this called? This is a reflecting surface. What is this called? What is this called? So these things you have to mention in your figure, okay, or in your diagram, okay. So this is the regular reflection. So diffuse reflection is the opposite thing. Means here we I'm taking the smooth or polished surface, but in there actually we will take the rough surface, okay. So that this is a rough surface. So that's here actually the diffuse or irregular reflection will occur. one thing is that why irregular reflection is called the diffuse reflection, because in irregular reflection that gives a diffuse or blur images. So that's why that is a diffuse, we can say that is a irregular reflection, or it is called also the diffuse reflection. So why it is a irregular reflection? So when the parallel beam of light is falls or strike a rough surface, the ray of light are reflected in different directions. So after striking the rough surface, they will move any way, like this way and this way and this way. So anyway they move, they don't have a definite direction. So that's why it is a irregular reflection, or because that irregular reflection gives the diffuse or blurred images. So that's why it is also called a diffuse reflection. So images formed by wavy water surfaces and old chipped off mirrors are blur or hazy images. We get the blur or hazy images. Okay. So that important parts, that there are some terms we will apply whenever we are talking about the reflection. The terms are the incident ray, reflected ray, angle of incident, point of incidence, angle of reflection, reflecting surface, normal. So those are the terms we can use and those terms are related to reflection. We can use those terms whenever we are talking about that reflection. So here I am drawing one picture, diagram. So this is our reflecting surface. So as I told you as before, whenever we are talking about the reflection, so that time we need a reflecting surface. So without reflecting surface, this reflection will not occur. So this is our reflecting surface. So when the incident rays falls on it, so this is our incident ray, this is a reflecting surface. So after striking the surface, it will reflect it back to the same medium. So this is our reflected ray. So this is the incident ray, this is a reflected ray, and this is a reflecting surface. So and if you draw an imaginary line, and this point where the incident ray is strike on the surface, so that point is called the angle of that point is called the point of incidence. So the point on the reflecting surface where the incident ray strikes and bounces off is known as the point of incidence. So that point the incident ray strikes on the reflecting surface, so that point is called the is point of incidence. This is the incident ray, this is reflected ray. So now if you draw a imaginary line perpendicular to the reflecting surface at the point of incidence, so this is our reflecting surface, this is our point of incidence. So if you draw imaginary line on it, so then this is our normal. So this is normal, this is a incident ray, this is a reflected ray. So you see here that angle of incidence is that the angle between the incident ray and the normal is called the angle of incidence, and it is denoted by R. And the angle of reflection is that the angle between the reflected ray and the normal is called the angle of reflection. So this is our angle of reflection, and it is denoted by small r. Okay, so now is the point is that what is the laws of reflection. So reflection is governed by the following two basic laws. The first of all is that incident ray, reflected ray, the point of incidence and the normal all lies in the same plane. And the second law is that angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. So these 2 points is very important, and whenever you solve the or any mathematical problem which are based on that reflection, we can use those law, and we can solve any numerical problem which are based on the reflection. So in this chapter, few questions already I have solved. Suppose that angle of incidence make an angle with that reflecting surface is 30 degrees. So this is the incident ray, this is a reflected ray, this is our normal, and this is the point of incidence, this is our reflecting surface. So here the incident ray makes an angle with a reflecting surface is 30 degree. So what will be the angle of incidence? So this total angle is 90 degree. If this angle is 30 degree, so how much this is 60 degree. So we know that. So if I ask you, this is angle of incidence equals to 60 degree. So what about angle of reflection? So angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection according to the law of reflection. So angle of R is also 60 degree. Okay. So like this way you have to solve. So those type of problem already I have discussed. Those type of problems in your exercise have, and check your progress have, and those type of problems how can you solve it. Those things already I have discussed in my video, and also I provided in your study material. You please check it. Okay, so now is the things is that very important thing. So we know that reflection is occurs on a regular reflection is occurs on a plane mirror, and irregular reflection or diffuse reflections occur in a any rough surface. So now is that what is that mirror, and why we can use the mirror as a base reflectors of light. So when you can see your image in metal surface and other painted or polished surface, or even in translucent surface, but none of this image is not as clear as sharp as the formed in a mirror. So only the mirror we can see our face is very clear, so that's why it is a very good reflectors. Other than that, so that is a very good question, why we can use mirrors as a base reflectors of light other than that polished surface or painted or even in translucent surfaces. Why we not use as a base reflector? Why we are using the mirrors as a base reflector? Because that in metal surfaces, other painted or polished surfaces, or even in translucent surfaces, but none of these images is as clear, as sharp as that formed in a mirror. So a good mirror must have the following qualities. So how can you check it that the mirror though that mirror is good and that mirror is bad? So that following quantities have to be satisfied, then we can say that that mirror is a good mirror. So first of all is that it must give the maximum or the best reflection. The second point is that it should not absorb any light, and number third is that it should not transmit any light. So a mirror is made by silvering one side of a tin sheet of glass. The silvering ensures a smooth reflecting surface and hence provides the best reflection. The silvering also ensures that the light does not get transmitted. So mirrors can be of two types. One is the plane mirrors and another is the spherical mirror. So that you see here in book have that this is a plane mirror, this is a spherical mirror. Spherical mirror are also two type. One is a concave mirror and another one is a convex mirror. So you see here one thing that so that how the mirror is a very good reflectors and what condition and qualities is required to say it is a good mirror. So these things I have discussed here. So one thing I want to tell you that an image which can be obtained on a screen is called the real image. So in mirror, what type of image is produced, and the that things you have to know. So that is a one thing before when these things already I separately I have discussed how whenever we use that point object or extended object, why how that image is formed and what type of image is formed. So one thing I want to tell you student that whenever we use that plane mirror as a reflector, and then when the image is produced by a plane mirror, is what type of image is it? So it is actually that is a the image is the same size as the object, and the image formed by a plane mirror is always erect, and the image formed is as far behind the mirror as the object is in front of it, and that the image formed by a plane mirror is laterally inverted. So these are the characteristics of the image formed by a plane mirror. And what is the lateral inversion? Lateral inversion is that that phenomena due to which that right of an object becomes the left of the image, and vice versa. It is called the lateral inversion. And the which purposes we can use the plane mirrors. So plane mirrors are used as looking glasses, and also we can use the optician's room, in a barber shop, in periscope and kaleidoscope. So it's in that purposes we can use that plane mirror. And one thing I want to tell you that whenever I discuss the irregular reflection and diffuse reflection, so as I told you in my previous video also, we are able to see the object around us because of the diffuse reflection of light from them in all direction. Otherwise, whenever if we take always a smooth surface or polished surface, that time we can see only one sided, we can see that object. But because of the diffuse reflection, we can see object from any other sides also, because that reflected ray is not going in the definite direction, is actually scattered. So that's why. So that what is the speed of light? So speed of light, already you learned that in vacuum it is maximum, or in practical purpose we can take whenever we are talking about the speed of light in air. So that time also we can take what is the speed of light in vacuum. So the value it is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. And whenever you talk in water or glass, so then water actually it is 2.25 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, and in glass it is 2 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So that now is the primary colors. So primary colors are those colors by mixing which white is obtained, but they themselves cannot be obtained by mixing any other colors of white. And that's why they are primary colors. The primary colors are red, green and blue, and red, green and blue are the three primary colors. They combine to form white light. And what is the secondary colors? The secondary colors are those colors which are obtained by mixing any of the two primary colors, just like a yellow, cyan or peacock blue. When that color is the cyan, is the that is its color is the peacock blue, and magenta color means purple color are secondary colors. And red and green, after mixing it we will get yellow, green and blue we can get the cyan color or peacock blue, and blue and red after mixing we will get magenta color or purple color. So when the white light falls on an opaque object, the light of some colors is reflected by it, and the light of the rest of the colors is absorbed. The colors of an opaque object is the color of light which is reflected, and the white opaque body reflects the light of all colors, while a black opaque body absorbs the light of all colors and reflects none. So these things already I have discussed. You see that if you take a color object and object is seen in a different color light, so whenever you take a color object and other color light if you falls on it, then that object appears black because no light is reflected back from it. So that's why red rose when seen in blue light it appears black. So and the colors of a transparent object is the color of light which is allowed to pass. So these are the colors of object based on the reflection and absorption. So which color will be reflected back and which color will be absorption. For this you have to know that what is the condition, or you have to know that the color of an object also depends upon the color of the light falling on it. So these things you have to know. And the last parts of this chapter is the composition of white light. So the composition of white light is actually that white light consists of 7 colors and it splits into the 7 constitute colors when allowed to pass through a prism. So if you take a prism and when you take the prism and white light is passed through it, you can see that order of the 7 colors is the violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red vibgyor. The band of the 7 colors is called a spectrum. So in a spectrum the colors are seen the reverse order, that is red is at the top and violet is at the bottom. And what is the formation of rainbow? So the most fascinating example of spreading of white light in from a spectrum in nature is the rainbow. So you know that just after a rainfall, a large number of water droplets remain suspended in the air. So these droplets looks like a tiny prism. So the water droplets acts as a tiny prism. So that's why when the sunlight passes through those droplets, the white light splits into the 7 constitute colors. So with a large number of water droplets is contributing to its phenomena, we get to see a huge continuous band of 7 colors displayed in the sky in the form of the rainbow. So these things what is spectrum and how to form a rainbow. So this type of question will come in your exam. So you please write yourself in that is you try to finish that answer within 2 or 3 sentences. But you have to write down that all the main things you have to write down. So these parts you have to mention this, how that after rainfall the large number of water droplets remain suspended in the air and they are acts as a tiny prism. So when the light passes through the droplets, how the white light is split into the 7 colors, constituent colors, and we can see the rainbow. So these parts you have to write, and hope students you understood. So today I am also providing you one one question paper based on that this chapter. All please you do it. So after this we will back to the previous chapter, whatever I have already done. So thank you student, hope you understood. Bye, take care, have a good day.